In this Starfield video, we will be taking a look at the best Star Wars ship designs created by the community. So many iconic and obscure Star Wars ships have been recreated in the game, and they are really impressive. Before we do take a look at all of the designs though, make sure you do subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any future Starfield videos. So in a previous video, I did show a bunch of iconic Star Wars ship designs recreated in Starfield by the community, and so many of you requested another video like this for ships you hoped people had recreated, such as the Slave One, and that, along with many more, are in this video. Let's just get straight into it, starting with Boba Fett Slave One. So this is coming from VENOCIOUS on Reddit. As you can see from these pictures posted by the creator, it really does get that shape down. It's an iconic shape with a lot of curvature to it, something that isn't so easy within the confines of what we have in the game, but I think this is pretty damn good. It is quite blocky because of the parts used, but nevertheless, I do think this is definitely worth trying to recreate if you do want to pilot the Slave One in Starfield. A slightly different approach to the Slave One design in Starfield was created by Acceptable Row 4863 on Reddit, and as you can see, it's a bit more sleeker, but I think it does lose some of the original shape. It's got the colour scheme and whatnot, but I do think the previous one is closer to the actual design of this fire spray model. From a small ship to a big ship, this is the Imperial Star Destroyer from basically a banana on Reddit, and as you can see, it is phenomenal. We've had quite a few Imperial Star Destroyer designs pop up on social media, but to me, this is the definitive one. This is mightily impressive, even though it was made using mods. It's not possible to do on console due to the limitations imposed by Bethesda, but with mods, you are able to achieve this level of detail on the PC. What's more is that basically a banana created a written guide showing you a step-by-step tutorial on how to actually create this Star Destroyer for yourself in Starfield. There'll be a link down below. Another ship that has received plenty of designs by the community is the Mandalorian's Razor Crest, and this one from STUPOTSS, in my opinion, is another fantastic recreation. Not everyone was happy with the previous one I showcased, but this is another one that I do think is pretty good. Given that there are so many, some people prefer ones more than others, but in my opinion, if you look at a side-by-side, it's pretty close to what we have in the show. Going back to a Star Destroyer-sized ship, and this is the Venator from VONDUVAITHOR. So as you can see, this is incredible. It perfectly represents the design of the Venator as seen in the Clone Wars as well as the prequel-era films. There are some nice touches, such as the Open Fleet logo off to the sides. As you can probably expect, this was made using mods on the PC version, so for now it is exclusive to being built on the PC, but it just shows you what you can do with mods. The level of creativity expands because this ship is huge. The engine placement, the colour scheme, the bridge, it's all perfect. It's by far the best Venator recreation there has been yet. There was a smaller one I did like that's a bit more rounded, so not everyone will be a fan of this, but I still liked it, and this was from Senna Bacon on Twitter, and as you can see, it does a pretty good job at recreating the Venator. There have also been quite a few people recreate the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels and Ahsoka, and this one from TOTALLYCAZ, in my opinion, is the best I've seen. I've looked around at various options, but this one is the best. A lot of them don't have the right colour scheme, so it makes it a little bit harder to tell, but the shaping, the colour scheme, it's done great. The ZETA-CLASS shuttle from Rogue One is quite an iconic ship from the recent era of Star Wars, and a simple survivor on Reddit recreated it in Starfield. A lot of the time we see these shuttles without the orange Kyber cargo containers on the top. This actually did feature in Rogue One, so you could just change the orange to black if you wish to do so, if you don't want the cargo boxes on top and just underneath. This TANTIVE 4 design by VANTAGENESIS on Reddit is awesome. The rear end specifically is a work of art. It really nails the design of the TANTIVE 4 as seen in Episode 4 A New Hope. The engine placement is just so well done. They did it really, really well. The colour scheme as well is on point. The front end is too big, but I don't think really it would look any better if it was really thin, given the limited parts available to us in Starfield at this time. It is a worthy trade-off in my opinion, because the centre and the rear end are really, really well done. Space Combat on Reddit has created a pod racer, so pod racers aren't used in space, but if you do love the designs of the pod racers, which I do, then here is one for you to check out. It's got the same colour scheme as Suburbs as seen in the Phantom Menace, but I really do think this is really well done. Even the energy bind in the middle being purple, that is just really cool. One of the smaller ships in Star Wars is the A-Wing, and this one from MIQED is pretty good. Because this ship is so small in Star Wars, it's not quite the greatest replacement for a big ship carrying multiple people, doing tons of missions around the galaxy, but this design is really well done. It has the colour scheme, it has the design, the roundness to it. If you're a fan of the A-Wing, you should definitely use this design to recreate that ship in the game. Another B-Wing has shown up, this time from Mr. Lion on Reddit, and this is even better than the ones we've seen previously. It has the colour scheme closer to what we see in Return of the Jedi. This was a ship that I loved growing up, and I know a lot of other people did from Return of the Jedi. Unfortunately can't rotate it like you can in Star Wars Squadrons or open and close it like the B-Wing does, but nevertheless, if you want to fly it like this, then this works pretty well. Another small starfighter that has been beautifully recreated within Starfield is Obi-Wan's Delta 7 Jedi starfighter from JCAVS on Reddit. So as you can see, again, the colour scheme, really well done, but it's got the sleekness to it. A lot of parts in Starfield for the ship customization aren't the sleekest of things. This starfighter is pretty thin. This recreation does a real good job at trying to capture what we saw in Attack of the Clones. There's even R4 off to the right hand side as well. JCAVS also released a guide on how you can recreate this recreation in Starfield. Bosk's HOUND'S 2 ship is not one that's very popular, but Caboose 2900 recreated it pretty well within Starfield. As you can see, it's got that design that we saw in the Clone Wars, and if you're a fan of Bosk, or you just like this weird looking ship, then you can go and recreate it within Starfield, because Caboose really showed that is possible. It's got a colour scheme close to what we saw as well. It's a little bit on the dark side, I would say, but either way, it still works quite well. I've seen a few people ask around for a Hammerhead Corvette design recreated within Starfield, and Slidefire has tried to make this really iconic ship design as seen in Star Wars Rogue One into Starfield. The ship's shape and design is one of the more unique ones we've had in recent times for Star Wars. I think this is quite a fair recreation given the limits we have in Starfield. The ARQUITENS light cruiser, as seen throughout the various eras of Star Wars, is a fan favourite now, and Low Initiative 30 on Reddit tried to recreate it. It has some of the shape, it doesn't have it all, but if you are a fan of the ship, then you should definitely check out how to make this. Maybe add your own tweaks if you're not entirely satisfied with it. I would say the prongs are a little bit too short, they need to be a little bit longer, but the engines at the back and the bridge, I think they did a really good job at portraying that shape. This Gozanti from Antras89 is a pretty cool design. Even though it's a more basic ship design that we've seen in Star Wars, it's still one that many people do like, and it's perfectly recreatable within Starfield's default ship builder. I would say lighter grey would work best as the colour scheme for this, but nevertheless, it still looks good. This Mandalorian Gauntlet fighter from JAHODIE is a good attempt at recreating this iconic ship from the Clone Wars and now in live action with The Mandalorian. I have not seen anyone else attempt this Mandalorian starfighter, so even though the structure at the back holding the three parts of the ship together is quite thin, it's still got the basic shape and colour scheme going for it. I am glad to see less popular Star Wars ships being recreated within Starfield now, because we've had a lot of the more iconic ones, the Millennium Falcons, the X-Wings and such. Now we have ones coming in from all various parts and eras of Star Wars. Let me know down in the comment section below which were your favourites that you saw in this video, and if you will be trying to recreate any yourself. Have you already recreated some for yourself? Just let me know down in the comments. There's a link to all of these designs in the description below, so you can go check them out and support the creators by giving them upvotes and things like that. And those with guys, you can also check them out for yourself as well. If you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like and subscribe for more Starfield videos. If you missed any of my previous videos, click on the playlist on screen right now, and I shall see you in my next video. Goodbye.